This is a message from the universe. You have the permission to be yourself. Isn't that cool? You just got the permission to be yourself completely with all your faults, all your negativity, all whatever. It's fine. Isn't that cool? You know what you can do next? You can try to find out who you really are. Because the only thing that is stopping you from actually living your life, your full purpose, is you. You think that it's them, you think that it's maybe them or something external, but actually, it's you. It's me who hinder my own perfect life and my own ideal future. It's only me, it's inside. And once I started giving myself permission, and it took a lot of courage, I started to change and I started to like myself more because I was honest with myself. It's one thing to be honest to others, but it's a totally different thing to be honest with yourself when you sit quietly and no one else is around and you're like, wow, this is it. This is my chance. Am I going to do something about it? And luckily, you just got the permission from the universe to be yourself. And this might seem obvious, and some people are gonna be just like, yo, this is stupid. What are you talking about? But it's so common. People I talk to, people I coach, they fear to be themselves. And it feels like, how can that be? But deep inside, we have all beliefs that have come into us from external sources. And only by realizing that we have beliefs that come from external sources when we grow up and during our childhood and all our surrounding, everything sets up the beliefs that we have. When we realize this, we are able to start watching these beliefs and we are starting to becoming aware of these patterns, because these patterns are the things where we can catch ourselves. When we understand suddenly that, hey, we are starting to repeat ourselves again in this negative way that isn't supporting our greatest vision. And that's when you have the tiny chance in the tiny moment to change. So change always happens in an instant. It's a decision. It's these weird small moments when you're like, wow, now I understand. I used to behave that way because of this one thing, and now I see the whole thing. And sometimes these visions just poof, they come and you realize this huge network of things, and that's the moment you change, because you take a different route, you do a different thing, you take a different action. You can change your beliefs by meditating, by hypnosis, by sleeping with certain tapes and all this, but if you don't make the change in reality when the decision is made, you're not gonna change. And this is how you actually rewrite your brain, when you take action. And it's this loop from belief that forms your thought, that forms a feeling, that triggers an action, that then gives a feedback, and then this whole loop kind of circles around. And this is how reality is created. And you need to perfect this whole cycle, otherwise you will slip back into old habits, because all patterns, all our behavior, or most of it, is habits. It's how we are used to work. And one really interesting thing that I realized when I get older, that I start to get new habits and new things and manners in my life that I know that my mom had when she was my age. So it's somehow also genetic that we kind of, or maybe it's just like we've seen our parents behave in a certain way and then we kind of take it on, and these different when I became a parent, it's like I started to see these weird traits in myself, and I'm like, okay, do I really want to do this, the same thing for my child, or do I want to change? But only by becoming aware of all these patterns can you actually start to find yourself, because the new decisions, that will essentially be you, because the old ways of being were actually someone else's idea of how you should be. And these things go in layered. It can take many years to actually get to the bottom of these things and to realize how much you've been actually programmed and how much you've let the external rule your life. Because it's your decision. Every moment you can decide a new thing. But if you aren't aware that you are running on autopilot, you can't switch off, because you think like, yeah, of course I'm in control. But when you step out of that, you realize, oh shit, that was an autopilot mode. That was just like running on habits, running on totally like, wow. And this is how your brain works. I think the brain has like 60,000 thoughts a day, and about 85 or 90% of them are the same as yesterday. And that's kind of sad, because if we have this amazing computer called the brain, we just repeat the same things and same things. And this is why change can be really difficult, and this is why poor people stay poor and rich get richer, because they keep doing same things. So if you want to get rich, you have to kind of crack the code inside of yourself. You have to crack your patterns in order to be that. And I don't know what you want to be, but you have my full permission and permission from the universe to be whatever you want to be. And now is the time when you can start building that identity, because essentially your identity will control this whole loop of beliefs, thoughts, feelings, actions, and then the feedback thing, and then that creates your reality. So a lot of the process is unlearning things. When I first heard this, that you need to unlearn stuff, I was like, what's the point in that? Because I didn't understand that it's the patterns we need to unlearn. It's not the information we need to unlearn, not like reset the hard drive and delete files. No, it's more of, oh, I become aware of that pattern, how this information connects, and then I can change the pattern in a new direction, because everything is moving, everything is frequency. So it's not that you can delete a single thing or just the whole pattern. It's you have to reroute it. And this is why becoming aware of things is 90% of the process, because then you see like, oh, you don't have to delete everything. Everything can be as is. You just make new choices. You create new patterns, because everything has to move. So everything is in some kind of pattern. I truly hope this video helps you to realize that it's totally fine to do just as you are, but then the next step is to figure out who you actually are. What kind of person do you want to be when you remove your family lineage, when you remove your society, when you remove your religion, when you remove your friends, when you remove your own environment? Who are you? That's the real question. And when you find who you are, the purpose is there. Because who you are will start the process of you doing things. You start acting. And that way, you will always live your purpose, because you are you. So in the most simple form, your life purpose is to be you. But who are you? I think this video turned out really interesting, and I go through the same process. I don't know exactly who I am, but I know I'm on the path to figuring it out. And I see these patterns more and more. I catch myself more and more, and I'm also able to accept that, whoa, shit, I really called myself again. And the more you realize that you're not perfect, and I used to have this weird illusion, and I used to act more like an asshole in times. And once I realized that, I could start, okay, I'm gonna change. It's not that I need to delete myself. I need to change. I need to make better patterns. I need to start behaving better. I need to start respecting other people's feelings better, because that was one of my weaknesses, my issues, that I didn't understand people's feelings because, surprise, surprise, I didn't understand my own feelings. And once I started to understand my own feelings, I started to see like, wow, that must have felt awful for that other person, because I could understand. I had the empathy to understand what it felt like. But only by realizing these patterns and seeing them kind of from this external viewpoint can you start to change them, because you understand it's like there's nothing wrong with the pattern. It's not like we put things in good or bad. It's just like, oh, you accept, oh, that was the way I used to behave, or that was the way I've done things, and now what a great opportunity. I have the opportunity to change my patterns, and that way I will change my life. I will attract different people. I will attract different opportunities. There will just be a totally new life because you start changing your own patterns. This is why when you accept that you can be fully yourself, this is when the real progress begins to kind of build your character. It's the game starts again. You can decide to start the game again and choose, okay, do I want to have something from this old character in this game? And things that you don't want, you try to cut out by rerouting, and then you can add new stuff because you realize like, hey, I've actually always wanted to try to sing. Okay, maybe I'll go and apply for a singing course or something, I don't know. But you get the point. That's the purpose. That's the purpose of life. Be yourself, and you have full permission to do that. Sometimes you just need to hear it from someone else. Yes, you have permission to be yourself. You're awkward, funny, positive, negative, whatever it is. You are allowed to have that. And that thought is so freeing. Once I started to tell myself that I'm allowed to do things exactly as I do them, what a freedom. It's amazing how much energy release comes from that. Even just saying this, it's like, wow, I give myself permission to be myself. Totally, with all my flaws, all my shit, and whatever, my past. It's fine. And I love that. And when you start loving yourself, that's when you start to change, and you can start to change the world, because there will be a point when your love will overflow and you will want to serve other people. And this is how we change the world. Okay? My name is Mitz, your future purpose, here to help you be more you. See you in a future video.